Hey, I'm Anthony, and there's only one thing I like more than fishing, and that's catching. Welcome to OC Outdoorsman. Look at that. Look at that wing.
Oh, you should tell me.
Huge! Hey everyone, welcome back to OC Outdoorsman. Today, I'm back at Dana Point. Had a horrible time fishing last time I was out here. So today, I'm going to try a slightly different strategy. I'll be doing a lot of trolling. I'm going to head north towards Salt Creek. As you can see, I just left Baby Beach. Water temperature is at 63 degrees. It's a bit cooler than the past several weeks today. So I'm not sure how productive it'll be trolling, but I'm going to give it a shot. I'm now just outside of a jetty in about 33 feet of water, so I'm going to cast out a good old Nomad as I head north. And if I'm able to spot some live bait, any bait balls on the way up, I'm going to stop and break out the sabiki rig. So for now, I will be trolling. It looks like a fog bank is rolling in. Check it out. Oh boy, this is not good. I'm headed right into a fog bank. Take a look, you can barely see the shoreline at this point. So I think this is probably a good time to reiterate the importance of setting a waypoint from where you launch your kayak in the morning. So in the case of Dana Point, you want to mark Baby Beach as a waypoint on your fish finder. That way, if you get stuck in a fog bank like this, where you're not able to really navigate by sight, you'll be able to rely on your fish finder to get back. Otherwise, it would be really easy to get lost, to lose your bearings when you're not able to see any landmarks. You can see I'm hardly able to see the shoreline at this point. It's disappearing quickly as I get deeper into this fog bank. I'm heading north, and it's getting thicker as I go. So yeah, there's your tip of the day. Well, conditions have changed a little bit. The wind's blowing a little harder now, and it's blowing into my face, which is really slowing me down. I'm barely able to stay above 2.1 miles an hour heading into this wind. And as you can see, it's gotten a little bit more choppy, so the yak is starting to rock around a bit more. I don't know about you, but whenever the seas get like this, where you get these gentle rolling swells that rock your yak back and forth, that tends to affect me differently, I think, because I get really sleepy when this happens. And yeah, I'm just curious. Comment below if the seas affect you in a similar way, because man, I get super drowsy when my yak starts to rock back and forth like this. And as you can see, I'm right smack in the middle of this fog bank, and I'm maybe 50 yards away from the boiler rocks, but check it out, you can't even see it. I've never seen the fog this thick before, to where I can't even see the boiler rocks. Looks like my old sabiki rig rusted up and fell off, so I'm gonna have to replace it. So I'll be using these Hurricane circle hook sabiki rigs. Not tried this before, so let's see how well it works. As you can see, these things tangle very easily, so you need to be careful when taking it out of its package. It can get real messy really quick. There we go. 32 feet of water. Okay, I'm right by Salt Creek right now, and you can see that the fog is starting to clear up by the coast a bit. You can see it, at least the shoreline, which is good. But I'm not able to make bait. Nothing's taking my new sabiki rig. They're not liking it so far, but I'm thinking about going to start trolling again. But look, I'm right on top of some kelp, as you can see there on my fish finder, so I can't really cast out my Nomad here because it'll get all tangled up in that thick kelp. So let's look at a worst case scenario. Suppose you forgot to mark your waypoint and you're stuck here in the middle of a big fog bank, and it's not letting up. You're not able to see the shoreline. You can still use your fish finder to make your way back to the landing point. All you have to remember is north and south. The landing point, in my case, is south of where I am. I'm at Salt Creek. Now, when you're headed south, the land or the shoreline will be to your left, or in this case, my port side. As you head north, it's just the opposite. The land or the beach will be to your right side or the starboard side. So all you have to do is reference the fish finder to see exactly where you are. And if you look here, that's my kayak, and it's pointing south. So you can see the land there is on my left. So really, all you have to do, if you're not able to see the shoreline because of the fog, all you have to do is look at this fish finder. As long as the shoreline's to your left, you'll be heading south, and you could work your way back to the landing point in this manner. So really, it's that simple. Whenever the fog rolls in and it's so thick you're not able to see any sort of landmarks, you're not even able to see the beach, just look to your fish finder, head south, and then hug the coastline, especially in the thick fog. You don't want to be out in open water where boats might run into you. Hug the shoreline, follow the fish finder back south, in this case, to the landing point. I get a lot of questions about which app I use to track my trips out here on the water. I think I may have mentioned it. I use Strava. So I do have an iPhone, but they have an Android app as well. So here, let me show you what it looks like while I'm out here, since it's so slow. Alright, that app there, the little orange icon, that is Strava. You tap on it. So as you can see, I've already started recording my progress, but here's the total time I've been on the water so far, and here's my speed. I'm not really moving right now, but the wind's blowing me at about 1.5 miles an hour, and I've done 6 miles at this point. But yeah, this is what I use. And the cool thing about Strava is at the end, okay, when you finish your trip, it'll record not only your distance and time and speed, but it'll create a little map of where you went, which is really nice. I like that feature. But Strava, STRVA, is the app that I use, and it is completely free, so I do recommend it. Since the fishing was so slow today, I figured, you know what, why not make this an update video? If you recall, I lost my kayak paddle last time I was out here at Dana Point, and let me show you, I did replace it. I now have this Ocean Board, or Ocean Broad, fishing kayak paddle, and this is the exact same dimensions as my old kayak paddle by Pelican. And you can see here, it also has a scale on one side of it, and this is something that's really cool. It also has this catcher, so that if your line ever gets snagged up in kelp or trees, you could use this paddle to grab it, because this is a very long, I think it's like 96 or 98 inches in length. And what I forgot to do last time I was out here was this. I'm gonna do a voiceover here because that foghorn kept going off. It became difficult to hear me, but as you can see here, the first thing you want to do when you launch your yak is lock down that paddle into that holder. Now, this particular holder is not just unique to the Old Town. A lot of different kayaks use them, and they're very secure. So that's what you want to do, because if you leave it in the paddle without locking it down, it'll still hold it securely if you're inside the bay or the harbor. But once you get out into open water and you start getting hit by swells, the force of the water hitting the front there will typically hit the blade. It's easy for that thing to just pop right off, and that's what happened to me the last time I was out here. But by using this little rubber piece here to lock it down, it is tight. That thing will not come loose. And you can see on my fishing net, what I also did here is I placed some pipe insulation surrounding it, so that if this ever falls in the water, you'll see that this thing will float. See that? Whoop. It's getting away from me. Let's use my paddle to grab it. This was actually kind of funny. You can see how quickly things drift away when you're out here on the ocean. But that net was not going down. Because of the pipe insulation, it stayed afloat right there on the surface. I just had the hardest time trying to grab it with my paddle and trying to maneuver my kayak with this rudder. This is a very thin rudder, and it can be upgraded to the sailing rudder, which I do recommend. I'm thinking about upgrading this one because it does not turn on a dime. My old Hobie Outback had a sailing rudder, and that thing would turn quickly. And I mean, you just go left or right, you just move the rudder control a little bit to the left or the right, and your kayak responds immediately. This one is not nearly as responsive. So as you can see, I've switched to paddles just to try to get closer to my net. And then I use the pedals to speed things up. But yeah, it's not nearly as maneuverable. But you can see here, that net was not sinking. So that's also why I use that pipe insulation on all of my fishing rods. If you look behind me, my fishing poles all have that pipe insulation wrapped around them. I don't like using leashes. Leashes get in my way. If my kayak ever flips and my rods fall into the water, they'll float just like this net. See that with these, the pipe insulation, this net will float. You will not lose it, as demonstrated here. It totally got away from me, but yeah, I was not really worried about ever losing this net, because the pipe insulation keeps it on the surface where you can retrieve it. Just another few updates. I have some interesting activities coming up in the very near future. I'm planning to head back up into the eastern Sierras at the end of August to do some fly fishing. So I'm going to take my big water kayak out there for the first time, and I'm going to be trout fishing using fly gear exclusively. I also picked up a PCP air rifle recently, so I'm going to be doing some small game hunting. Dove season opens up in September. I think rabbit season does as well, if not in August. But yeah, lots planned in the very near future. But once again, I just want to thank you all for watching, and if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. And as always, if you could give this video a thumbs up, I'd really appreciate it.